AM 1450, FM 99.3, KNSI. Welcome to Taking You Home with VoigtJohnson Real Estate. Remember now, we do this every Thursday morning at 7:23, Saturday mornings at 7:50, again right here on KNSI. Brandon Johnson in studio with us. Great to see you, my friend.
Good morning.
Oh, we have things to talk about, like, is there anything new in the world of real estate?
Well, we've talked on prior episodes on where we felt the market's going in the spring, and now that we're into June 2023, we're starting to see some trends and some data to back that up.
Now, the first thing everybody wants to know is, can I afford my house? The answer was, heck yeah, we're at 2.8%. Well, that was a while ago. Interest rates have kind of maybe thrown a wrench into that monkey. We're going to get to interest rates in next week's program. But some spring statistics, what can you tell us about some of the numbers right now?
Yeah, now that we're into June, basically looking at month over month, year over year. So, for instance, the number of closed transactions, and for the sake of this morning's discussion, we're going to talk about St. Cloud proper.
Okay.
So, St. Cloud, Sauk Rapids, Sartell, St. Joe, Waite Park, St. Augusta, etc. Basically a 10-mile radius of St. Cloud.
Sure.
So May closed transactions in 2022, there were 172 closed residential real estate transactions in May of last year.
Gotcha.
In May of this year, 2023, there were 105 closed transactions in St. Cloud proper,
Right.
what we define. So that's down about 38%
Okay.
in closed transactions.
All right. So the closed transactions down 38%.
And if we go back a month prior, April was down year over year, 2022 to 2023, 44%.
Okay.
So we are down significantly, and this isn't a result of lack of demand
Okay.
by any stretch of the imagination.
So they're not building anymore, or they're not making any more dirt, from what I hear. Houses need to be built, right? We've known this for a long time in central Minnesota. We need more houses.
Well, and I think there's a couple things going on. We have seen a little bit of a slower start to the spring market, I think, than
Right.
traditional, and that's playing out in the numbers as there's plenty of more homes coming on the market here in June.
Okay.
So that's a nice sign to see. But what you're seeing is a combination, what we talked about before, is people a little less likely, if they don't have a life event or a life change, to move where they don't have to,
Right.
may reconsider, or they're saying, I'm not going to, I have a 3.5% interest rate. I can forego that move up home at a 7% interest rate, so they're choosing to stay. So that's contributing to the lack of inventory as well.
So my mind, when those things were happening years ago, when interest rates were up, higher than they even are now, my mindset was, I'm just going to stay where I am, but I'm going to save money, put money away, so that when I acquire enough money to have a higher down payment or whatever, I can do that and move up to the next level of home.
And we're certainly seeing some of that, but there is still a growing amount of people that are saying, my family's growing.
Yeah.
I need more space.
Yeah,
I'm
there's
moving
no
to town
choice.
for jobs. Right. So it's really a lot of life events dictating the transactions currently.
And months ago, when those interest rates were so low, people really didn't wait for those life events, did they? They just said, hey, look at these interest rates, we're going to buy a new house.
Well, exactly. It was the converse of what I just described.
Yeah.
Is they could get more home for roughly the same amount of payment, because they might have been locked into a 4.5-5% interest rate, and now that interest rates were 3 or under, they could get more home for the same payment. So it was the exact opposite effect that's happening now. But I don't want to totally that's not what's driving the market. What's driving the market is just the disproportionate amount of buyers versus sellers. There's just a shortage of homes in general.
Yeah.
What we just were talking about is a factor in it,
Yeah.
but the overall underlying foundation of it is there's just a housing shortage in central Minnesota.
And Brandon, we have been talking about this for years. Even when those rates were that low, right, we still needed more houses in St. Cloud.
Yep. And again, you got to look back at history. So we're coming off, kind of the recession in 2010, 2011, where
Right.
development and the lots and all of that, there was I don't want to say a gluttony, but there was a good amount of developments to build.
Yeah.
That has subsided or changed
Sure.
currently.
You can say glut, because I think people were kind of going a little crazy back then.
Yeah, it was just a completely different amount. You could go through and pick of the 7, 8 major developments where you wanted to pick your
Yeah,
lot. And
yeah.
now they're few and far between as far as buildable lots
Sure.
in 2023.
Okay, even when those interest rates were as low, we were still tight with inventory, so that's why we had the multiple offers on houses. So now rates have gone up just a tad. Normally, in a normal world, that would kind of work, right? But we're not in a normal world these days, are we?
No, I mean, we're still in. To give you some perspective for
Yeah.
year-to-date statistics, I mentioned the month of May we were down almost 40% at 38%. Year-to-date in St. Cloud proper, 2022, there were a little over 600 transactions closed up and through the middle of June.
Okay.
In 2023, there's 441, so we're down about 27%.
Okay.
But you also got to put that in perspective. If you look at, if you compare that to 2018, 2019, we're still kind of in line with the amount of transactions that were in those years. So we saw a peak during COVID.
Yeah.
So when we're comparing it to the past 2 to 3 years, we're down significantly. But if you go back 4 to 5 years, we're kind of right in line. So it's all perspective.
Right.
If we're looking at it versus the last 2 to 3 years, you see the disparity. If you're looking at it over a course of 5 to 8 years, it's just one of the markets that we're going through.
You know, yeah, and everything is so cyclical, and we just need to take a deep breath and wait it out. In my opinion, things are going to be okay. They always are. I also think, they say money can't buy happiness. I would argue with that because right now in my life, I'm looking for that final forever home.
Yeah.
Right? I'm okay with paying a few extra shekels for that because it is my final forever home. You know what I mean?
Well, I think what you're alluding to is the idea of being self-awareness to your specific situation.
Exactly.
And so that's what we're advising people here now is what is your specific situation and what makes sense to you to help navigate that.
Yeah.
People that are looking at renting as an option. Well, rents are going up significantly too. So you've got to look at what's important to you, what can you afford, what is you want your forever home
Yeah.
that you're going to live there, indefinitely, right? There may be a different set of circumstances, criteria.
Sure.
You may not need to move in the next 30 days if you're waiting for your forever home
Right.
versus someone who's coming here for a job transfer needs something now. So it's all about being self-aware of your individual circumstances to help make a strategy and guide you through that process.
All right, folks, very, very important the next couple of moments here. How do we deal with you folks at VoigtJohnson Real Estate?
You can go to VoigtJohnson.com, that's VoigtJohnson.com, or reach us 320-774-2400.
Folks, so easy to find out what's really going on in today's real estate market. Taking you home with VoigtJohnson Real Estate, Thursday mornings at 7:23, Saturday mornings again at 7:50 right here. Start your home search at VoigtJohnson.com. Brandon, thank you.
Thanks, Bob.